In this video, we will be talking about the age of exploration. Our TEKS and objectives are identifying major causes and describing major effects of European exploration, the Columbian exchange, and European expansion. By the time that we are done with this lesson, you will summarize the reasons for European exploration, explain how new technology enabled explorers to discover new lands, and also describe the achievements of explorers. So in your notes on the foldable, you are going to write notes behind the tabs that I gave you in class, and this is going to go on page 57 of your notebook. So first we'll talk about the 3 G's of exploration. There's God, glory, and gold. God has to do with religion. So the Crusades, remember, encouraged Christians to start spreading their faith to other parts of the world. After the Reformation also, Europeans wanted to convert the indigenous people that they found in the New World to Christianity. Bartholomew Diaz, who was one of these explorers that moved to the New World, said, "To serve God and His Majesty, to give light to those who were in darkness, and to grow rich as all men desire to do." Those were the goals of the Spanish explorers. The second G is glory, which means fame. A lot of European adventurers wanted to be the first to find a spice, or to find an area that had never been discovered, or to create a new trading port, or to control a country. So a lot of glory came with these achievements, and so Europeans ventured out to find this kind of glory. The third is gold, which is wealth. Of course, merchants that were looking for an all-water route to Asia were trying to find better ways to trade. If you remember, the Europeans began to trade along the Silk Roads, and so there was a system that was in place that cost a lot of money for Europeans. So the Muslims sold spices to Italians for lots of money, and then the Italians turned around and sold it to the rest of Europe for even more money. And European had to buy these goods for higher prices. So they're trying to find another route that will allow them to gain access to these spices and goods from the East for a lower price. Sorry about that. So there's a couple of things that had to come into place before people could venture out into the New World. So new sailing technology was developed around the time that allowed for explorers to travel across the Atlantic Ocean. A new type of ship was developed, the caravel. This was a very small and maneuverable ship that had a very large cargo area, and so it could hold a lot of goods and a lot of supplies. And it also had 3 masts with triangular sails that allowed it to sail against the wind. So again, there was more space for food and people. It could sail against the wind. It could explore closer to shore, and it was also equipped with weapons. The cannon had recently been developed, so that allowed them to travel across the sea more safely. There's also the development of the astrolabe, which was developed by the Greeks and perfected by the Arabs, and it was used to determine latitude and sail by the stars. There were better and more accurate maps that were being produced as well. And we also had the sextant, which also allowed them to navigate through the ocean. And of course, the mariner's compass, which was initially a Chinese invention, and it allowed them to track direction with that magnetic needle. So this is a map of what the Europeans knew of the world around 950 AD. So this area in orange is the only thing that Europeans knew existed or had ever been mapped, but they didn't know much else. By 1490, after the Crusades and after people started traveling further east and south of the Saharan Desert, you begin to see more knowledge being acquired of what is out there. And by 1800, after the voyages of Christopher Columbus and other explorers, we get to see that they discovered even more parts of the world. Alright, so Marco Polo, we talked about a little bit in the previous unit, was an Italian merchant, and he was the one who wrote about his travels to Asia, and it increased European interest in the East. We have a man named Prince Henry of Portugal, who is going to develop the Caravel, that ship that allows for further expeditions to take place. He is going to sponsor a lot of expeditions along the African coast. Ferdinand and Isabella, who are the Spanish rulers, are motivated by God and glory. They want to spread Christianity, and they also want Spain to be the most powerful country in the world. And so, through the Reconquista, they take Spain back from the Muslims, and they're going to expel the Jews from Spain. They're going to really push Catholicism in their country, and they also want to spread it to other parts of the world. So they're going to sponsor a man named Christopher Columbus to sail to the New World. Christopher Columbus was trying to reach Asia by traveling west. He convinced Ferdinand and Isabella to pay for the voyage, and unintentionally he landed in the Americas instead of the East Indies. So he actually died thinking that he had failed. Because he never reached the East Indies. He didn't know that he had discovered a whole new continent. The Columbian Exchange is named after Christopher Columbus, which is an important exchange of products and ideas that took place after his voyage. So in your map, in your notes, you have something similar to this. The Columbian Exchange diagram, which represents the movement of people and goods between Europe, the Americas, and Africa following Christopher Columbus' discovery of the New World. So from the New World, we get new foodstuffs. Corn, potatoes, beans, cocoa beans, all of these things didn't exist in Europe until after Christopher Columbus discovered the New World, and they began to be transported back. Precious metals that were in great demand were gold and silver. They were very abundant in the New World, especially in Central America. And then you also have tobacco, which was introduced to Europeans after the discovery of the New World. From the Old World, we bring things back to the Americas, things like wheat, sugar, rice, and coffee beans, which end up being big staples of the North American and South American agriculture. Horses, cows, and pigs were not native to this area, and so they were introduced by Europeans. And then, of course, they're also going to bring with them a lot of diseases that the native population is not resistant to. Things like smallpox, measles, influenza, and typhus, and they're going to take a huge toll on the native populations. So some later explorers who are also worth mentioning are Vasco da Gama. He is from Portugal. He discovered an all-water route from Europe to India by sailing around Africa. And then you have Ferdinand Magellan, who's also Portuguese. His expedition was the first to circle the world. He actually didn't make it to the end of his voyage. He died on the way, but his group did, so they're credited with circumnavigating the globe. Other explorers that we should mention, John Cabot, he's important to your U.S. history. He's from England. He claimed a lot of territories in North America for England. Jacques Cartier, he is from France. He explored the area around the St. Lawrence River. And then Samuel Champlain, who is also from France, explored the areas of the Great Lakes. Robert de La Salle from France explored the Mississippi River, and Henry Hudson, here's another one who's important to U.S. history. He's actually from the Netherlands, and he explored the Hudson Bay in Canada. He was hoping to find a northwest passage to Asia, but did not succeed. And that brings us to the end of the lecture. If you have any questions, bring them to me when you have in class, and thank you for watching.